Good morning and welcome to Orca News. The headlines. Highlights in President Limson's National State Address. Health Department detected 6 new COVID-19 cases in Landova. COVID-19 alert levels imposed. 10,000 doses of Pfizer vaccines will be arriving tomorrow. An Architecture and Infrastructure Department agreed to expand future roads and highways throughout Landova. Highlights in President Limson's Presidential National State Address. Paul Wanders reports.
Last Saturday, June 26, President Limson has made his 2021 Presidential National State Address. The address was held in Prodicano District in Sonoma City at 3 in the afternoon. The president's attendees were Vice President Pete Jenner, House Speaker Gregory Kiszko, Schottler Pike City Mayor Justin Limson, and Sonoma City Mayor Stalin Limson. His speech lasted for only 13 minutes. The main points of his address were the COVID-19 vaccination process, the proposed constitutional amendments, the recommendation of planning in two-door, the Infrastructure Projects Act of 2021 in Pike City and Commerce Valley Terraces Village, the village rehabilitation and expansion projects, and his candidacy for president for the fourth term next elections. He stated in the vaccination process that he is not implementing mandatory vaccination, but preferably highly encouraging everyone to be vaccinated. He also announced that phases 1 and 2 groups were going to be the first ones to get inoculated in Lingus General Hospital in Pike City. Certain procedures of the vaccination process will be followed according to the health secretary. The president stated that travel restrictions were imposed throughout most of Europe due to the potential spread of the more contagious Delta variant of the coronavirus. Along with that, COVID-19 alert levels are now imposed in several places in Landova due to the new cases of the coronavirus. Furthermore, President Limson stated that he will be signing the proposed several undisclosed constitutional amendments that Congress has agreed to. One of the amendments was to propose 2-year term governance for all government officials instead of a year term. He said that most of the amendments will be easily put into effect in the next administration. He quoted that he ran 3 times for that position and got frustrated in the election procedures, but that is the Constitution works. We need to change it because it's different these days. Another thing he mentioned in his speech was the 2-door industrial park project that halted for almost a year. He stated that he will be closing down 2-door until plans and constructions have been made. The president told that he can't even decide if the nuclear power plant should be built or not. The president also announced that along with the Infrastructure Projects Act of 2021, there will be a new metro line and residential district in Pike City. He also announced that Commerce Valley Terraces Village will be having office buildings and low-to-rise medium residential areas by August. In regards to the village rehabilitation and expansion project, he stated that he will be in touch with the people of the ye old terrestrial with Vice President Jenner due to people fleeing out of the province, making the agriculture sector go downhill. And lastly, in his address, he stated that he might be running again for president for the 4th term of his presidency, expecting that he will run for the 4th term with 2 years in office. He finished off his address with a quote, "For our next generation leaders, it starts small and it ends big." This is Paul Wanders in Sonoma City reporting for Orca News.
The Health Department reported 6 new COVID-19 cases in Landova. The new cases are most of which traveled from the United Kingdom. The total cases in Landova are now at 81, with 6 new and active cases. The department stated that they will be sampling all the new cases for genome sequencing to see if they have contacted any SARS-CoV-2 variant strains such as the Alpha or Delta variant. The executive government with the local government officials has imposed COVID-19 alert levels in several places in Landova. Lockdown is imposed in Commerce Valley Terraces Village for construction in Plainsfield Pier Hotel. Quarantine isolation level 1 is imposed in Pike City, Schottler, and Plainsfield City. Closure is imposed in Sonoma City. 2-door Old Massa Village, Flathills Village, Frostley Village, Whitetone Village, and Lubhurt Village. To recall the COVID-19 alert levels, closure means that there will be a limited entry of outsiders in the area. The movement of people will still be normal. Quarantine isolation level 1 means that there will be a restricted entry and exit in the area. The movement of people will be reduced and maintained low. Some businesses will be closed and works will be limited. Quarantine isolation level 2 means that there is still restricted entry and exit in the area. The movement of people is restricted to 10% per population. And lockdown means that people are restricted to go outside or leave their homes. All businesses will be closed and physical office works will be suspended. President Limson stated in his address last Saturday that in case of the uprise of cases and transmission of any variants in Landova, we have no choice to implement quarantine alert measures yet again for vulnerable places in Landova. But rest assured, we will do our can to battle the coronavirus by our simplest ways such as social distancing, proper hand washing, and wearing of face masks. That travel restrictions are imposed in several nations worldwide. Limited and partial travel restrictions are imposed in the United States and 43 states, the Bahamas, Morocco, Iceland, Ireland, and the Azores Islands. Full travel restrictions are imposed elsewhere in Europe, due to the potential spread of the contagious Delta variant, which is first detected in India. Furthermore, the 10,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccines will be arriving tomorrow. More to report from George. George.
Yes, Carson, the 10,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccines are expected to arrive tomorrow. The Health Secretary noted that the vaccination process for phases 1 and 2 will begin by the second week of July after they conducted a thorough inspection of the vaccines that have arrived. The vaccination site will be only here in Lingus General Hospital. For preparations, certain requirements for vaccination are only your official identification and email or cell phone number. Health staff and doctors will facilitate most of the vaccination procedures here in Lingus General Hospital. The head office of the hospital stated that they will need control to limit people entering the premises. The hospital can hold approximately 50 people at a time in the vaccination area. They stated that if you're eligible enough to get vaccinated, please wait for a while. Most people are not yet authorized to receive the vaccine due to the published guidelines regarding the vaccination process made by the health department. The health department stated that only phases 1 and 2, which are the healthcare workers and clinically vulnerable groups or persons with pre-existing conditions, are first will be authorized to receive the vaccine. The other phases are soon to be authorized until further notice. Back to you, Carson.
Thank you, George. Here's our weather for today. The Architecture and Infrastructure Department have agreed to expand roads in Landova. More to report from Ludward. Ludward?
Yes, Carson. The Architecture and Infrastructure Department have agreed to expand future roads and highways throughout Landova. The department stated that existing roads in Landova are rather narrow for motorists and vehicles. As you can see here in the newly built road here in Picot City, this is at Orplast Avenue, a one-lane road that is only 2 meters wide is narrow. Urban developers noticed that roads in the old Massa village were first used only for people, as a sidewalk. Due to vehicles and machinery coming to Landova after its independence, the roads have stayed to be narrow until now. A one-land road is only 2 meters wide. Here in Orplast Avenue, for example, a 6-lane two-way road measures 13 meters wide excluding the sidewalk. The Architecture and Infrastructure Department stated that they will be agreeing to expand a one-lane road from 2 meters into 3 meters for future roads and highways in Landova. They also proposed to consider using asphalt instead of concrete for future roads. Back to you, Carson.
Thank you, Ludward. And that's it for today's news. This is Garson Nilgers, reporting for Orca News. Good morning, everyone.